Hello, everyone. Welcome to IT Tech Talk. I'm your host, Joel Ward, and with me is George today. George, how are you doing?
Doing good, doing good. Nice to be on your show, Joe.
Awesome. Thank you. I'm really glad to have you. Actually, it's kind of cool. I get to talk to someone in Greece and who is 24 years old and has his own company. Like, that's really cool.
Yeah, it's quite challenging, but it's nice to do something on your own.
Yeah. So George, tell me a little bit about yourself. So you're the founder of a drone company. Is that correct?
Yeah, that's correct. We started this company back in 2016. I started this company. I was always fascinated with drones, with technology, and I wanted to somehow make a living out of it. So there we are.
Awesome. And you're in the agricultural, I'm pretty sure you said the agricultural drone industry. So you do stuff for agriculture.
Pretty much, yeah. Our first commercial model was an agricultural drone designed to fly over crops and detect issues, detect any problem areas. So it was a tool designed to help the farmer.
Awesome. Awesome. So are you like a Silicon Valley mogul? Is that what you kind of would consider yourself?
What was that?
Like Silicon Valley, like in the US, we have Silicon Valley where all the tech giants go. Are you kind of like in Greece, do you have like a Silicon Valley? Are you kind of like in that area where you're like in the tech industry?
So the thing with Greece is that this is a very recent industry. In Greece, when we started, there was no other companies. We were the first ones, yeah, this whole entrepreneurship idea is kind of new to Greece. We had traditional industries and more traditional, essentially jobs, but right now we're seeing like a rise in entrepreneurship. We're seeing like new tech companies. So this is kind of a new thing for my country.
That's awesome. So you could consider yourself a pioneer if it were of your industry.
I guess by the term, yeah.
Awesome. So Greece is it's been pretty set in a little bit more traditional side things, and you're kind of trying to bring newer age, new ideas to the table, correct?
Exactly. Greece has been, I mean, everybody has heard of Greece probably, but the last thing that comes to their mind is like high tech and drones, I suppose. It's mostly a country, you know, where people go for vacations. It's beautiful. It's quite amazing to live in this country. But as far as technology goes, at least until 5 years ago, we were definitely a step behind.
Oh wow!
Yes.
So,
but now I'm seeing this kind of change in the people of my age in their 20s. They try to start something new. So that's great.
So tell me a little bit about your drones. What do you have the agricultural drones? What else do you do with your drones? What I'm sure it's not just agricultural that you do work with, right?
Yeah, no, it's not just that. So first of all, a little bit about how I got into all of this. I started with pretty much I started when I was a kid. You know, playing with RC planes, anything radio controlled, but I was always fascinated by anything that flew. So one led to another, and at about the age of 13 or 14, I had built like a drone airplane with cameras and so on. Can you hear me actually?
Yes, I had my mic muted. Sorry, I was just listening.
All right. So it really it opened a new horizon to me, because I was able to control something that was like 20 miles away, to fly 20 miles away and to like a couple miles high. So it was amazing. And then I realized that I was pretty good at doing those things, building those things.
So you kind of engineered, made your own stuff. You didn't just buy it. You made your own drones.
Yeah, because back then there was the industry was so small. There were no companies making. There were either the big guys who were making drones for the military, and then there was only hobbyists and only a few of them in the world. So I had to learn from other people through the internet. They helped me out, and I got to build my first like official drone.
So you have schooling in any of this, or is it just all self-taught?
It's I would say 90% self-taught.
Wow.
There's no courses you can take at the university that teach you how. I mean, maybe nowadays, like a year ago, I know MIT introduced a course on drones, a specialized course, but before that, there was nothing. So you had to learn on your own.
Wow. So you basically just watched videos on YouTube and stuff, and that's how you learned?
Much, and it's amazing what you can do with just sheer determination and a lot of YouTube videos.
Yeah, it's I don't want to say, I don't know how it's. You're like the real entrepreneur. You're the one that like literally learned by yourself. You didn't go to college. You didn't, you learned. You did it all on your own. You basically built your name on your own. You didn't have someone give it to you. You practically built the name for yourself, which is one of the things I like about talking to entrepreneurs on my show, is hearing their stories about how they got started. Some of them have, stories where it was easy to build it. And some others were like you, who literally built the product or the service themselves and came up with the idea on their own and didn't go to school or didn't learn about it and like didn't even know it existed. So I love getting to talk to people like you, because it's like, it's hearing that story of like, oh yeah, I'm just self-taught. Like that's how I am. Like a lot of my IT stuff I learned, and learning about servers and stuff came from YouTube, came from my uncle when he was alive. He taught me a lot of the stuff, and I didn't really, go to school for it until later in life. I was about 28, and I went and got certified in IT and servers and marketing and stuff. But a lot of stuff, graphic design, I do that. I'm self-taught. I didn't go to school for that. I didn't go to school for IT. I mean, I did in the end, but like I'm self-taught. I didn't need all that. So I love hearing a story about like, yeah, I learned that and on YouTube and stuff. So I can appreciate that.
Yeah. And, nowadays, I like to say that to anybody I meet in my age who, is kind of confused on what he wants to do with his future, because a lot of my friends, they don't really know, what they want to work with, or they can't go to the university that will teach them those things. Maybe it's expensive. And I always tell them that, as long as you have access to one computer with internet, the world is yours. You can learn about anything you want.
Yeah.
You learn 99% of the things you can learn through your own computer.
Yeah, you're right. There's so many resources out there. The internet, I remember 30, well, back when I was a kid, I was 5 years old. I remember I got my first laptop when I was 10 years old. And it was a DOS laptop. And I remember learning all the stuff I could about programming and stuff. And now I'm a web developer on the side. Like all the stuff that I learned, floppy disks and stuff, like all the innovations that came and are gone now. But there was so much things that back then you had to learn on your own. And now there's resources available on YouTube, on the internet, on Google, everywhere you go on the internet. There's so many resources to like classes or courses or even just videos on how to do something.
Yeah, it's amazing. It's and to think that somebody can make a career just out of things he learned out of essentially YouTube videos and tutorials. So no like formal education on this subject is really it's an amazing thing.
Yeah. So let me ask this. So when you were tinkering with these things, see, when I started tinkering with computers, my family was like, oh no, like we're going to have an IT guy in the house now. And so how did your family feel when you start engineering your own drones? Like what was your family's thoughts on that? They're like, oh man, we have a smart child in the house. Like he's doing his own thing. Like, and when you, and that, let's ask that question, but what they think when you started your own company? Like what was the thought process on that?
So yeah, that was interesting. So from a young age, I always liked to tinker with things, take things apart. So my parents were definitely not happy at the beginning because they would come back home and I would have destroyed something,
Oh no.
trying to figure out how it works. Because you don't always get to build it back together again.
Yeah.
Maybe something is missing, some extra screws, and yeah. But after a while, they realized that okay, maybe this is what he actually wants to do. So they try to support me as much as possible. But you know, believe me, a 12-year-old kid asking for $500 to build like a drone
Yeah.
is not easy. Like my parents thought it's gonna be a waste of money. But in the end, a couple of years later, I actually figured it out. I built my first like long-range, remotely piloted aircraft. Nowadays they call it FPV, first-person
Okay.
view. And I think that was the point where they realized that okay, maybe I can actually do something positive with
Yeah.
it.
Yeah, I think I actually in the corner on the video podcast, and people can't see it now, but in the corner room, I have my office is like a square, but there's a little notch in the wall. In that corner of the wall, there's a giant server rack running like all my servers. And then when I started buying those back, I was at my parents and I had just moved out and I had started buying them. And I remember I remember telling my dad I just bought my first servers. And he was like, why? He's like, what are you going to do? I was like, I'm going to build stuff. I'm going to get into engineering and stuff. I'm getting the web development. And my dad, he built a company about 30 years ago. I think it's been almost 30 years he's had this company in dairy science. Okay. And he does dairy science. IT stuff, he got into a little bit, but he didn't follow through with a lot of it. So he just falls on dairy science things. So all this is like a Greek to him. He literally has no idea what I'm saying. When I'm talking about I built a server that does this, this, and this, he's like, what does that even mean? Or I talk about I built a computer that can run VMware, and he's like, what's VMware? And it's like all the stuff that people like you and me understand because we're building it. We're making it. We're making a product. But some people who don't understand, like why are you making that drone? Like it's why? Like it's just everybody's making drones. But you had a calling, you had a purpose. You're like, I want to do this. Like, and you set out to do it. And you did it, and now you have a full-fledged company. So I want to ask you, how long have you been doing this? Like, how long has the company been around, and how many drones have you sold since then?
So we've been around since 2016.
Okay.
The company was founded, although till 2020, yeah. We were working. I wasn't working 100% full time, so I was teaching actually.
Okay.
I was doing actually internet courses, informal internet courses, on people who wanted to learn about drones. Sometimes it was paid. Sometimes I did it, for free.
Okay.
We actually met some kids from Africa that they were trying to do a very, very interesting project about medicine deliveries.
Okay.
Through cities, and I was guiding them through this project. So we went really full time and 100% into this company. When two also of my friends decided to join, one engineer, one mechanical engineer, and one software engineer in 2020, so a couple of years ago. And since then, we've been operating on full steam. And right now, we're actually besides the agricultural drone, where we're moving to a new sector
Okay.
parallel to the agricultural one. And we're actually have the drone here, so I can show you. It's a really small one.
Oh, wow. That's really cool. I've
Yeah,
seen similar ones, but that looks really, is that a prototype?
this is one of the prototypes.
Okay.
But this is the final design. So as you can see, it's like a smaller design. This is
Yeah.
made specifically for security operations,
Okay.
for police task forces and search and rescue. So this is designed to enter buildings that are either maybe occupied by bad guys, or maybe we have some sort of earthquake or natural disaster.
Yeah.
The building is semi-collapsed, and you send in one of those guys.
And it's small enough, it can definitely fit in those tight spaces, whereas big drones cannot.
Exactly. And it is designed to be pretty much indestructible. We made it especially out of a polymer that was designed for our needs.
Okay.
It's made to withstand crashes from 60 feet up, no problem.
Wow.
Yeah. So you can throw it out the window and it's going to survive that. It's really tough.
That's really cool. So you're getting into the security and rescue sector of things.
Yes. Because we realized as a company that we need to be a little bit more diverse. So it's good we have our flagship, our agricultural drones, but we want to have an extra product going on.
Now, have you sold a good bit of drones since you opened?
Yes, although through COVID we actually had kind of a significant drop in our sales.
Okay.
Because people are more hesitant to spend a large amount of money, because we're talking the $6,000 range. But yes, after 2021, 2022 was a very good year. So
okay.
We actually made a few sales in the US. We had some high-valued customers there, and it's going pretty good.
That's good. Yeah, I know COVID affected a lot of businesses in our area, and a lot of good places shut down because no one wanted to go do stuff, and it was a loss. A lot of people struggled during COVID, but I'm glad to hear that you're back up and you're getting clients again, and you're bringing in money, because that's stuff like what you do it's like you're kind of like you're pioneering the industry in Greece, and you want to make that happen. But what was unexpected with I'm sure you weren't expecting it, was COVID hit, and then that loss of sales. No one was expecting that. No one was expecting to lose money.
Not at this scale.
Yeah, so I'm glad to hear that you're still doing good. But yeah, no, I think what you're doing is phenomenal. What were you gonna say? Something?
I was gonna say about COVID. Actually, every issue that you encounter is actually it can be a hidden opportunity. So although we couldn't hit the numbers we were hoping for, what we did is we developed a prototype drone, the larger drone we have developed actually, which was designed to actually fly over my city remotely completely. So it was controlled by the 4G network for the cell phones, the GSM network, and it was autonomously flying and just counting how many people there are walking for statistical analysis, to make sure there's not a lot of congestion, a lot of people in one specific place. So we had this project going on with the Greek government, and that actually led us to a lot of connections, and it was a good thing in the end.
So the Greek government hired you to do this project then?
Yes. Yes.
That's really cool. So did you, with all the analytics you pulled and analysis you pulled, did the process work? Did you find out that it worked with the tracking?
Yes, we found out, we identified some patterns. So they actually made some changes in some intersections where there was a lot of people actually walking on the same intersection.
Hmm.
And we made some sort of adjustments and so on, so that it's more evenly spread out, so that not a lot of people get into contact in one place. Um, yeah, so we learned a lot actually about this project.
So
With this project.
is that why, and I'm just want to ask this, is that why you kind of went into the more security and rescue sectors? Because like you got those contacts now, you can get into a more diverse sector, if it were.
That's one of the reasons actually. Yes, because we realized that now we have a channel through
Hmm.
which we potentially sell our new product. Um, and also, one of the reasons we wanted to continue this, to go through this path,
Hmm.
this new zone, is there was an earthquake here in Greece, and there were a few people actually trapped in the building, and
Oh.
there was no way of them. There was no way for the rescue teams to actually
Hmm.
give them some water or something. So that's how the idea came to mind. You can actually carry a bottled water to
Okay.
stranded people somewhere or
So
something.
how long did that take you to develop that prototype? What was the, how long, and is it, it's made out of enough materials that's cost effective to mass produce, correct?
What was your last
So
question?
the first question was, is how long did it take to make that prototype? Once you got the idea, how long did it take to make the prototype?
Um, Approximately for the first prototype, it was 6 months,
Okay.
the first functional prototype, and for the final prototype, which is essentially the production version, it took
Okay.
an additional 6 months. So we're talking a year in
Okay.
total.
Now I'm assuming that all the stuff you do is locally sourced, like you do a lot of in-house like kind of production, or do you source it throughout different parts of Greece?
So we try to source as much as possible locally.
Okay.
Um, for example, we source the raw materials, like for the plastic that this is made of,
Hmm.
is sourced locally. There's a company in Greece that makes sophisticated materials like this one. Um, but unfortunately, because we don't have here in Greece, we don't have the production capabilities that in China or Northern Europe does.
Hmm.
We have to bring some things from elsewhere.
Okay.
So engines, for example, we bring them from China. Electronics from Germany,
Okay.
and yeah, but we always try to manufacture whatever we can on our own. So even the frame that you just saw, this
Hmm.
is 3D printed actually in the room next door.
Nice. I was actually, that was one of my questions was, do you 3D print some of your parts? That was gonna be one of my next questions,
Yeah,
and you answered it. So
yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
so do you 3D print the
We love.
propellers and the base then?
Uh, what was that?
Do you 3D print like the propellers and like the chassis? Is that what you do?
The chassis is all 3D printed, for example,
Okay.
this job. So the propellers are bought. We don't 3D print them
Okay.
because actually there's no point to 3D print them since they're very cheap and they can be sourced easily.
Okay.
But more complicated, more complex designs, we definitely try to 3D print them because we can use whatever material or whatever design we want, and
Hmm.
it really is rapid prototyping. So I can design something on this computer, and 2 hours later I have it ready. Half an hour later, maybe I have ready parts.
Yeah, that's I bought a 3D printer years ago, and it's just I don't have it anymore. It kind of burnt out. I want to get another one because there's so much you can do with them. Like back when I was growing up, I remember people would talk about these things that would print all this stuff on plastic and stuff. I'm like, what? How much do they cost? Like, oh, a lot of money. And now you can get hobbyist 3D printers for like nothing, and you can
Yeah.
design and prototype stuff, and it's just insane what you can create with these printers. And I was there's a company called Mark Forge, and they actually create like metal 3D printed parts, and you can buy their products, you can buy the printers and stuff. It's like what we have come so far as a collective, creating things so other people can create things. And it's so fascinating to hear like, oh yeah, I print this, and like within 2 hours I have a prototype. Like it's insane to think like you can just put it on a computer, create it on a 3D model, and then print it out and have like 2, 3, 4 hours later there's a whole prototype on your printer.
It's really, really amazing. I bought my first 3D printer in 2015, actually.
Okay.
I still use it. And it's by far the best $350 I've ever spent.
Nice.
Just most people think 3D printers are some, gadget to print like, I don't know, tiny dogs or
Yeah.
some sort of toys. But it's actually an amazing tool.
Yeah. And I've
Um,
seen, I follow a couple of people on YouTube that use 3D printers to create parts for like computers and software and stuff or not software, but things they're engineering, and they create some insane stuff. And I'm just like, I need a 3D printer. Like I want to start doing this again. Um, and you know what, actually 3D printers, I mean, even with the world market as it is, 3D printers, depending on where you get them, you can still get them for $350, and you can get a decent sized printer, and you can do incredible things with them. Now, if you want to get one of those insanely big ones to do like big projects with, which I've seen this guy print a whole dragon, like it was a huge dragon. I'm just like, what's the point of this? And he said it took him like a whole 2 days to print this. And I'm thinking to myself, I'm like, 2 days to print something, which what are you doing with it? I'm on like, I understand people like have these hobbies, but print like a something you're like engineer something like a Lego pieces or something. I actually printed some Legos for my son the one time back when he was a kid, and I lost them, and then the printer died, and I was like, no, I can't. I need to get another one so I can make Legos in little pieces for him. But the really coolest thing I've ever seen, not to get off topic, printed on a 3D printer was actually Legos. Like someone printed Legos that were like huge on a big 3D printer and made a huge Lego set out of them.
Yeah, you can do, you just scale up your whole project.
Yeah, yeah.
Lego project. The most fun part actually is when you start designing. And right now, kids and actually a kid can learn to design 3D design stuff really easily.
Mm-hmm.
They've made some amazing software where you can just draw on your tablet and then send it to the 3D printer, and a few hours later you have it in 3D. It's really amazing that you get something on your screen to an actual physical object.
Yeah, they've made it definitely very obtainable for children and young aspiring engineers to just build stuff. And it's nice. We've just hit our time though, but George, I am so glad we got this opportunity to have you on the show. I'm really blessed that your business is still going forward, and even with COVID, because I know a lot of people, they just lost hope, and after they started seeing that decline in sales, and I've talked to a couple people who literally said they didn't know when the next sale was going to happen. So I'm glad to see that your business is bouncing back. I'm glad to see you're still making sales, and I'm happy that you're getting into a different market as well.
Yeah, you have to keep on going no matter what.
Mm-hmm.
And I think determination, if you have that determination
Mm-hmm.
to make it through, you're gonna make it through no matter what. So
Exactly.
if there's any advice I gotta give to people is that just
That was actually my last thing. It was like, what's one thing you could give as advice? And determination. That's a good one. I love to ask at the end of the show, what would be something you could give as advice? And I like that determination. Keep staying determined on what you're doing.
Yes, and do what you like, because it doesn't feel like work when you actually enjoy what you're doing. You can
Exactly.
spend a lot of time working on something without getting tired or fed up with it.
Yep. Well, George, thanks for coming on the show. It's been great talking to you.
Thank you.
All right. And to everyone out there, please stay safe and I'll see you in the next one.
All right.